Welcome to And Know, where we can discover God's Word together. And Know is taken from the verse found in Psalm 46. Be still and know that I am God. Being still actually takes a lot of patience and energy. Every day, we hustle from here to there. So let's challenge ourselves to take just a moment to be still and see where God might lead us today.
Welcome to episode 15 of And Know. It's been a few years already, but I used to be the children's ministry leader at my church. And one of the very best blessings to come out of that was to be able to re-listen to Bible stories, but to see them through a child's perspective. One of my favorites is the story of when Jesus fed the 5,000. Fun fact, the feeding of the 5,000 is captured in the books of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. The only other story repeated in all four Gospels, the resurrection of Jesus. So we know that this story made quite an impression on the disciples. And it was most likely more than double, if not triple, than the 5,000 people, because the story only states 5,000 men, and that wouldn't have included the women and children there. Here is the miracle as it is told in the book of John. John 6, verses 1 to 14. Sometime after this, Jesus crossed to the far shore of the Sea of Galilee, that is, the Sea of Tiberias. And a great crowd of people followed him because they saw signs that he had performed by healing the sick. Then Jesus went up on a mountainside and sat down with his disciples. The Jewish Passover festival was near. When Jesus looked up and saw a great crowd coming toward him, he said to Philip, "Where shall we buy bread for these people to eat?" He asked this only to test him, for he already had in mind what he was going to do. Philip answered him, "It would take more than half a year's wages to buy enough bread for each to have one bite." Another of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, spoke up, "Here is a boy with 5 small barley loaves and 2 small fish, but how far will they go with so many?" Jesus said, "Have the people sit down." There was plenty of grass in that place, and they sat down. About 5,000 men were there. Then Jesus took the loaves and gave thanks and distributed to those who were seated as much as they wanted. He did the same with the fish. When they had all had enough to eat, he said to his disciples, "Gather the pieces that are left over. Let nothing be wasted." So they gathered them and filled 12 baskets with the pieces of 5 barley loaves left over by those who had eaten. What are some things that stood out to you? Here are a few of my takeaways. This is long before social media, TV, or radio. And yet the work of Jesus was already making its way around the people, and thousands of people wanted to be near him. I think it's a little funny that he asked Philip where they should get the food. Jesus is laying the foundation of the miracle about to take place. It's almost like he's telling Philip, "I want you to get how amazing this will be." And I love how Andrew comes with some provisions from a boy. 5 loaves and 2 fish. Andrew knows it won't go very far, but still, he brings what he has to Jesus. And I love how Jesus puts the disciples to work by asking them to have everyone sit down. I wonder how long it took getting 5,000 plus people to sit. We know Jesus can calm a storm, so it's fairly safe to say that he could have gotten the people to sit, but he didn't. He chose his disciples to do that. He made them a part of his story. And then Jesus gives thanks. And then the people ate until they couldn't eat anymore. This wasn't just scraps of food. No, the Bible tells us they ate as much as they wanted. Let's just sit with that for a moment. Jesus took what was offered and then blessed it. By doing that, those meager offerings turned into an abundance. So much so that there were 12 baskets of bread left over. We know Jesus fed their bodies, But most importantly, we also know that he fed their souls. They were searching and following him. Why? What were they hoping for? Jesus treated each and every person there with kindness. He saw each of them. If he hadn't, he would have sent them away hungry, but he didn't. He had a meal together with them. They were seated down together as one community. But the biggest takeaway for me is that Jesus used what was offered. He didn't demand that someone go home and bake. He didn't demand that the kids stay hungry. He didn't demand that a few people go to town. He didn't choose just one or two people to eat and leave the rest hungry. No, he took what was offered and blessed it. And know this, Jesus does the same for you and me. How many times do we feel so inadequate in what might we be called to do? How many times do we feel inadequate about a million things? The Bible is filled with stories of people bringing incredible change simply because they said yes to what God was calling them to do. What might he be calling you to do? Does it seem too out there? Do you feel like you don't have what it takes? Here's the baseline. None of us, not a single one of us, can do anything on our own. But when we offer it to God, he is the one who will bless it and do incredible things. Imagine that young boy whose lunch was used to feed thousands. I think it's pretty fantastic that the story retold in all 4 Gospels begins with the offering from a child. If that young boy can be brave to give what he had, I know each of us can be as well. We just have to have faith that what we offer will be exactly what God is asking for. And then get ready to see the miracle unfold. Because when God takes what we have into his own hands, well, the miracles are sure to follow.